Welcome to Fueling Your Legacy, hosted by Samuel Knickerbocker. Each week, we expose the faulty foundational mindsets of the past and rebuild a new, stronger foundation essential in creating your legacy. We've got a lot of work to do, so let's get started. Welcome back to Fuel Your Legacy, and today we are doing a book review on a book that I actually have been referred to multiple times over the last, probably year and a half or so by various friends from all different places. It's been an interesting ride with this book. The book is called Feelings Buried Alive Never Die. And if you haven't ever heard of this book, I think it's probably one of the classics. Everybody kept hearing me say what I think about the subject. And they're like, you really should read this book. It sounds just like it. And I was like, oh, okay, like putting it off, because obviously if a book sounds just like what I'm saying, why would I want to read it? Kind of my opinion on things. But it ended up being very, very beneficial and just another great book. And I agree, it does sound a lot like what I'm going to say. So just understand that. But what do you do with feelings, and who has feelings, and how do you process feelings is really the context of this whole book. And much like the book that we reviewed a few weeks ago called The Untethered Soul, the beginning of the book really addresses who is having the feelings and what is having the feelings. And putting in perspective that over the course of our life, we're all going to have feelings. Things are going to happen to us, but we are not really experiencing, and we're experiencing them as much as we're experiencing being in this body. But that's the point. We are in this body having an experience rather than our body being us, and creating that separation between the physicality and the spiritual, or the physical and the body and the soul, the body and the mind, however you want to say it in your narrative. The point is, are we separating what's happening in our circumstances from us as individuals, the us or the you, or that level of intelligence, however you describe that. And that is the key of separation. So first he separates and helps people get to the point where you can separate that out. I think it's probably one of the better books to actually accomplish that separation. The Untethered Soul was phenomenal. I loved it, but maybe just a little bit too deep for a lot of people, where Feelings Buried Alive really just separates that nicely in a way that's not too abrupt, or kind of wiggles people into taking ownership for their experiences rather than bam, headlights into the face and you have to take ownership. So that aspect of it was really good. But then we talk about this where we all have these feelings. Another good book actually in tandem with this might be the Four Agreements, where the idea is when you're born into this life, you're a blank slate. When you begin this life, you have no experiences, and you have no bad experiences, positive experiences. And then by nature, you start processing these experiences however you process them. Now, if you are having feelings that you feel like are negative or are holding you back or are painful or whatever, the common human tendency is to suppress those feelings so that we don't have to feel them, and we don't have to recognize them. We don't have to work through them. We don't have to handle the fallout if we did address them, right? That is really the negative side of, not the negative side of the book, but what he's showing is kind of holding us back from experiencing complete joy, fulfillment, love, peace, confidence, all those positive, powerful emotions that are going to ultimately liberate us and help us become more in our life. So he talks about how when we have these feelings, we put a wall up against it, and then we are never, well, not ever, but it's really difficult for us to move past it. And so every time somebody around us does something that's kind of like the initial situation, then we react without even knowing what we're reacting to. And same question that was in Untethered Soul as in this book, and that I would just encourage everyone to really think about next time you're coming in contact with somebody that is bothering you, or you're sitting there feeling perturbed, annoyed, frustrated, whatever it is, ask, what about me is frustrated? What about me has that frustration? And if we can actually get access to that initial experience that caused that frustration in our life, then we can now address it and say, okay, what about that experience frustrated me? What about that person saying that thing to me really hurt my feelings, right? And maybe it's the real root cause is even farther deeper, because as you continue to have these experiences or these run-ins with these hard emotions, then it compounds. And so you might think, okay, I got to the bottom of that feeling. I don't have to deal with that anymore. Well, then you go one step deeper, and there's another block there. It was another experience from even a younger age. And one of the things that I love about this book is where he takes the research that he did, and he actually puts it all the way back into, which is kind of where I started my journey studying things, puts it back into prenatal and even before conception, and the science behind how we are actually transferring from ourselves, or we're transferred from our parents and our grandparents and their parents, all these negative experiences. I forget what it was, whether I was watching something, or it could have been this book. It's a little bit of a long book, so it could have been in this book. But the thought that we are, oh no, it's in a Think and Grow Rich movie, The Legacy. There's a doctor, I think from Finland or somewhere over there, Nordic countries. They did research with water. So they took a vial of water and they just put it on a slab so they could look at it through a microscope. And they just put it, nothing had happened to the water. They just put it there. And then after they did that, so they looked at it, took images of the dried water on there. Then they just had somebody, they didn't touch it. They just had somebody sit there and channel and feel a lot of anger towards this water. So literally didn't touch it at all, just put the slab in front of them and had these people feel anger towards the water. And then they looked at it under the microscope again, and it was had a bunch of sharp images in it, and appeared to be very chaotic and hectic. And then they took that same slab of water after that, so it was neutral. Then they had somebody feel anger towards it, and then they put it back. They put it back in front of that same person, and had that same person then feel love towards this slab and the water that was thereon, and put it back under the microscope, and the water had smoothed out. I mean, the context of the water had smoothed, or I guess the texture that had smoothed out, and in all of the centers of the drops, it was like perfectly smooth, almost like if you had a bunch of dirt hovering on top of water and you put soap in it. The soap repels all the dirt out, and it's clear water in the center. Well, that is essentially what happened to all of these water drops by just feeling the energy of love towards the water. So the point of that is, how much of your body is made up of water? I mean, if you think about it just from the water perspective, your body is somewhere between 80 and 90% water on any given day. And because of that, the emotions that you're feeling are literally changing the chemical and atomic structure of your body. And then what happens is you procreate, right? You get together with the other spouse or the other gender of other sex, I don't know what to call them anymore, the other person, and you create a child. And in that union, right, your body now starts to create another human out of the same water content, the same emotional energy that you're channeling into this. And so people wonder, like, how do I have these experiences? How do I have these memories from stuff that I wasn't even around for, stuff that happened way before me? It's crazy, but it's built into your body to have these memories. Now, the cool thing about that, and the thing that's really exciting about this feelings buried alive, never die, is as long as we leave them buried, they stay. However, if you choose to become conscious of those feelings and address them, then just by choosing to have love towards all of these situations, you can literally transform your body, transform the makeup of your body. I was having a conversation with our guest for next week, So you'll have to wait for that. But one of the things she said, her name is Karen Torres, and I'm super excited for you guys to get to hear from her. But one of the things that she says is as soon as she started to think more positively and just fall in love with everything and do the naked exercise in front of the mirror and just stand there and just feel love towards every aspect of your body, weight fell off her. And I know multiple women who that same stories happened to, where they just began to fall in love with who they were in their body. And as a result, they became slim, not by changing their diet, not by exercising more, not by doing anything other than thinking skinnier, right? It sounds crazy and like that would never work. And especially all the people who are maybe not the weight that they want to be and have been struggling and trying. I know you're going to be listening to this. You're like, that doesn't work. There's no way that'll work. And you'll fight me on it. And that's okay, because the truth is it only will work if you believe it will work. So for you, it probably won't work until you decide that it will work. And then it will work, because that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's that energy in which you're putting into place. And I don't care if you send me hate mail or whatever, but that's the reality. So whether it's a female, a male, doesn't matter. If you feel like you're heavier than you want to be, then literally thinking skinnier and falling in love with yourself and removing all the stress and the anxiety and all the things that you're feeling are important to you. If you're willing to release all of that and just say, look, those things aren't important anymore, it translates into physical body weight of releasing body weight as well. So I've seen that happen with multiple people. It's not just like an isolated experience, but that's all part of understanding how these feelings that we have, when we bury them, it harms us long-term, or if we're willing to address them, then it actually can help us heal. And so rather than looking outside of ourselves, a lot of that healing can come from within ourselves. Now, I'm not saying doctors are bad. I'm not saying that there's not a need for other sources of expertise. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is there's a dramatic need, and your body and your mind has infinite power and wisdom inside of it. The question is, are you willing to actually access that power? And that is what the overarching purpose of this book is, in my opinion, and what I gained most from it is, what areas of my life am I unaware of that I complain about? What areas of my life am I unaware of how I'm upset about it and I just want it to change? And then what am I doing to change, and why does it bug me? Because it's only bugging me because for me, I'm living inconsistent with that in my life. And so then when I see somebody else do it, it bugs me that they're doing it. But that's because of my own inconsistency in my own life. And so learning to accept people as they are is important. Now, one of the things that I loved about this book is it gives you scripts or prayers or meditations. I don't know how to really describe what it gives you. And so because of that, well, I think it's a meditation. It's a verbal meditation. And if you listen to the book or get it on copy, then every time you come up against one of these feelings, it actually walks you through exactly what to say and exactly how to say it to release the negative feelings. And so it's not only just a book of nice ideas, but it's also a book of clarity and action, like a workbook where you can say, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start applying these principles to my life and wait for the change. And then it's backed with multiple of customer, or I don't know if customer is the right word, but multiple testimonials of it working for different people in their life and different experiences and different things they needed to release. And so when you find a book that's not just hearsay, but you're able to have a bunch of people say, no, this actually worked for me, then it adds a lot of credibility and oomph to the book to help you believe that it could work for you. And that's kind of the reason for people sharing, not because they want to put anybody else down, but because they want to help other people succeed and feel more love and unity in their life. So with that being said, that's where we're going to end it today. This book is phenomenal, and I think everybody should go read it, as with most of the books I do on here, which is why I do a podcast about them, because I think of the value that they could add into the podcast. Now, this Friday, we have on super incredible guest. Again, I'm not going to tell you her name, but she is, I'm going to give you a little hint if you want to go Google her. She is the Miss Woman Entrepreneur USA. First one ever in the history of the Miss Woman Entrepreneur USA competition. And so she is going to be our guest here on Friday. Super excited about that. And then again, I wanted to let you know that the events are coming up. So for October 18th and 19th, Strengthen Your World experience. This experience did change my life, and it's actually going to go into a lot of what we talked about this week about these feelings, these emotions, how they work together, how to release a lot of the negative emotions, how to accept ourselves more fully and live more in our light and who we are as individuals. So please go ahead and text me 385-263-7699. I'll say that a little slower because some people say I talk fast. So 385-263-7699. Go ahead and text SYW or Strengthen Your World to that, and I will help you get registered. I'll make sure you get my speaker's discount, and we will get you set up for that. Super excited for all my friends that I'll see there, and hopefully you will be one of them. So we'll catch you next time on Fuel Your Legacy. Thanks for joining us today. If what you heard resonated with you, please like, comment, and share on social media. Tag me so I can give you a shout out on the next episode. And thanks to all those who have left a review. It helps spread the message of what it really takes to build a legacy that lasts. Catch you next time on Fueling Your Legacy.